Welcome to another episode of Health, Wellbeing Lifestyle, where professionals in their fields come on to our show and educate the community, inspire them to live healthier lives, feel more balanced and live a lifestyle they love. Today our first guest is Helen Mack, and she's here to talk to us about optimising outcomes, and she is an optimising outcomes coach, so it's perfect. Helen, what made you come up with that idea?
Thanks for asking that, Linda. My background is in psychology initially, and I did a lot of work in corporate organisations and organisations of a variety of sizes, working on how do we get good outcomes from people and from individuals. My passion is actually optimism, and that attitude is what drives all of my work. But optimising outcomes is more outcome focused. So it takes the concept of optimism, which is an attitude or an approach, and it gives people some ways to approach their lives, their businesses, their relationships, their communities, to get better outcomes for themselves and for others. And it was driven from many moons ago when I was young. My mouth turned down when I was at rest. So I always looked a little bit unhappy. And so lots of people would sort of say to me, "Are you okay, Helen?" I'm like, "Fine." What I learned to do was tell my face. Have you ever met someone like that who's perfectly happy but they forget to tell their face? So I learned to smile, and I learned to teach myself how to have a happier approach. But happiness is temporary. Optimism and optimising outcomes is more grounded and more long-lasting. So I've now done a lot of research into the power of optimism and why that's an important part of the puzzle for people to get better results, whether that be in their health, in their lifestyle, in their business, whatever part of their life that they want to make changes. And there's really, in more recent times, I've developed a 3-step process for taking you from what am I going to do to what's the best possible outcome. How can I optimise this situation, or how can I maximise this opportunity? And that's, we have to go from thinking that something's not possible to moving to asking what's possible, and then moving through making choices to create best possible outcomes. So it's really a journey of inside yourself. And regardless of whether you're trying to make better choices about some part of your lifestyle, whether you're trying to boost your business results, or whether you're wanting your community to have a better outcome, if we take these 3 steps, we can all end up with better results.
Well, what happens with our brains? You talked about the not possible aspect. What happens with our brains when we say something's not possible?
Well, this is the really tricky part, of course, because as soon as we say something's not possible, our brain agrees with us and basically kind of closes down. So it says, oh, if you think this is not possible, then I'm not going to look for anything to help you with that. It literally goes on a holiday. It says, well, I'm done. This is not possible for you. I'm out. And so the challenge of that for us in whatever our goals are is that we're closing off opportunities. So one of the key pieces of optimising outcomes is creating opportunities. So let me give you an example from my personal life. Why is this so important to me at the moment? About 6 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with a terminal, incurable, only partly treatable condition. Very rare blood disease. My husband was always very special, and so he had a very special disease as well. So what that did was created a whole lot of not possibles. One of the not possibles was that our happy ever after was gone. We were going to live forever, die in our 90s, skiing off the edge of a black run, having heart attacks, tumbling down to the bottom of the ski run. All of our happy ever after was gone. We were faced with a heap of not possibles, things that were not possible for him to do or not possible for us to do. But if we stayed in that place, we would not have been able to move forward. Instead, we asked ourselves, what's possible? So that then sent us down arms of doing research. What's possible in terms of treatment? What's possible? Who's the best doctor? What's possible for him in terms of his activity, his abilities? What can he do, not what can't he do? And so that what possible question was critical to the process. It also meant that we had conversations about what might be possible for me going forward, because we knew that there was no happy ever after. He wasn't going to be here forever anymore. What was possible for me going forward? And so that opened things up.
And I suppose when you talk about that, what's possible, it's not only the thinking, it's the whole language and the communication you're having with everybody else.
With everyone in your world. And so regardless of what kind of relationship you're in or what your goals are, asking what's possible allows people in to help you. So you get better support if you say to people, here's what I'm trying to do, what's possible in terms of how you could reach out and help me. And so we had great support all the way through Lachlan's illness, and sadly, well, we lost that battle 3 years ago, but it meant that we had all kinds of conversations about how I would go forward. And I was in a community where people would come to me and say, how can I help? And what they were asking really was, what's possible for me to do to help you on this journey? So the what's possible piece just opens us up to possibility and to opportunity, which is just a beautiful place to operate from.
So how do we get the best possible results for our viewers out there who might be thinking, oh, well, I don't understand this, not possible?
Yeah. So once we've gone to what's possible, the lovely part about that is that we can then develop a range of options. We can look at what's possible in terms of time, resources, people available to support, money, where you live, all of those sorts of things allow us to gather options. And then we simply use a variety of prioritising techniques. One of the simplest ones is to, if you've got a long list of things and you're trying to choose, just look at 2 of them, choose which one you like best, and then just add 1 more in. People often look at a long list, oh my God, what am I going to do first? Just look at them in pairs, and by doing that, you'll be able to quickly decide which is the best possible for you right now. So best possible doesn't mean best possible forever. Best possible doesn't mean the only thing you're going to do. It's simply, what's the best use of my time and resources right now? And by having that approach, we will make better choices for ourselves and be able to consciously move forward into this idea of optimising the outcomes in your life, in your business, in your world.
Oh, thank you, Helen. And this is the first in a series of interviews with Helen. The next time she'll be back with Creating Clarity. And for more information on Helen Mack and optimising outcomes, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now we'll go to break, and after break we'll be back with another interesting guest and topic. Welcome back, and we have Dr. Zara Chelik back with us, our integrative health and wellness expert, and today she's talking to us about stress management. So Zara, stress management, can you tell us a bit more about managing stress? We have, I'm sure, many viewers who experience stress in their daily lives. We hear about it all the time.
So there are 2 types of stress. We've got the new stress and there's a chronic stress. New stress is actually beneficial. It helps us to produce outcome and meet a deadline, and it helps us to push through that boundary, that challenge, and get an amazing outcome. Then there is a chronic stress. And again, with chronic stress or stress in general, our perceptions also come into playing a role. So there could be an event, and we both will perceive it completely different and react completely different, and our physiology will be completely different, and along with the biochemistry for both of us. So it really also comes down to our perceptions, right, when it comes to stress. The other thing is our language. That's a big one. It plays a big role as to how we perceive daily, day-to-day tasks, or the language that we use in our work environment, with people around in our circle, with our loved ones, because that whole language can shift so much in our physiology, in our biochemistry, as well as our psychology. So really, we can, for example, I can just right now say, I have to cook, or I can say, I get to cook. Can you see how my physiology, my body just shifted along with that? So with the word, how I use my language with the second one, I get to, that's all gratitude that's coming in. When we have that gratitude coming in, the language is different. It's not really stressful anymore, because I'm saying, I get to, and it's divine, it's nice, and my body likes that as well. So that, whether it is the cooking that I'm saying I have to, or I get to, whether it is my emails, I have to check my emails. So that task becomes so simple and it is no longer stressful. So number one is language. What language are you using to associate with your daily, day-to-day tasks, activities, or with people around in your circle? So that's a big one. Then, of course, taking care of our physical body as well. Exercise, meditation, the spiritual well-being, spending more time being out in nature, connecting with nature. It helps us to be more grounded, more authentic, more objective. The other thing is making sure that we're not holding on to resentments, we're not judging people, we are conserving our energy to produce amazing outcome, optimum outcomes, sustainable outcomes with things that we do, and we create that leisure and pleasure out of daily tasks and activities. So those things really come handy and very beneficial when it comes to managing stress skillfully. So we're not creating that imbalance in the nervous system, because when there is a chronic stress, there is an effect on our cortisol. There is effect on our hormones. There is effect on our adrenal glands, cortisol levels. We don't want to overdrive that. We don't want to be in the fight and flight mode all the time as if we're really running away from a tiger, a real threat. With the modern world, we tend to create that with the language that we use or with our perceptions as well. So it is important that we are mindful of our language, mindful of the things happening, and to have gratitude and work on ourselves at mind, body, spiritual level to create that balance, to create that equanimity and that equanimity within and that equity between the others as well. So we are not challenged by little things or by people or with it could be at work with a colleague. So we're not feeling challenged because we bring ourselves to be that authentic, objective, creative self. And that plays a big role. Just being that authentic, at all times plays a big role really when it comes to managing stress skillfully. So for those people who are just starting out, I will say start paying attention to the language that you're using. But for the others, they've already been working on that and also working on their well-being at mental level, emotional level, physical level, like exercising or being in nature and things like that, or practicing spirituality. Go to that next level of mastery and work on your mind. So when it comes to working on the mind, it is that immanent and transcend the mind, which I covered in our previous interviews. That is a big one because mind really plays a role in terms of mental well-being, but also overall creating that equanimity, that homeostasis and equilibrium in the cells and within the cells. So that's what I would like to share and give to our viewers.
Wonderful. And would you have any more, just to end the program, your absolute favourite advice for the viewers about stress management?
So as I said, work on your perceptions, really analyse to see, are you making it bigger than it is? So I will say, start paying attention to your language and see whether it is something to make something greater out of it and perceive it as to be stressful? Or is it something that you can say, hey, that's not that crucial, it happened for me, not to me? How is that benefiting me? How is it helping me grow? How is it helping me to thrive and go to next level? So start from there will be what I will really get people to focus and pay attention to.
Well, thank you very much, Zara.
Thank you for having me.
And for more information on Dr. Zara Celik and stress management, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now we'll go to break, and after the break we'll be back with more guests and topics. Next we have Steve Hall, our holistic change coach, and he's back with us today talking about knowing yourself. So Steve, why is that important to know yourself?
Thanks, Linda. It's a great question, and I've delved into this a lot over the last couple of years. And why it's important for us to know ourselves is we believe we know ourselves as we go through life. And our beliefs are something that we trust and rely on. So we really think we know ourselves. And what I've learned that really surprised myself, what I needed to find out as well, because it was such a game changer in my life, is there's so much about myself that is in my unconscious or your subconscious that I had no idea about whatsoever, which influenced what I did, it influenced the results I was getting, it influenced how I was feeling about life, whether I was happy, whether I felt like I was in control, whether I felt like I was doing what I wanted to do in life. All these things I never really considered at a deep level. And so knowing myself was so important to me. I think it was Socrates said it originally, know thyself. And it's been mentioned all through history by philosophers up until now, because it is so important that we truly understand what's going on in our subconscious and our conscious, and that they align and take us to where we want to go.
So what does it actually mean then? What does knowing yourself mean?
Yeah, well, this is even deeper. Because what does that look like? Sometimes we think we know ourselves, but what we're understanding is what we believe is true about ourselves, and quite often it's just what we've gotten used to. It's our habit of knowing ourselves. It's what everyone else tells us we're like as well. And in life we can spend a lot of time and energy wondering and worrying what other people think of us, and we try and shape our life in a way that people won't do that. And so sometimes we even end up trying to hide. I think it was Thoreau said that a vast majority of people live their life in quiet desperation because they're never really knowing themselves. You know, they're living lives according to other people and they're not happy. And it's so important that we can dig down to truly understand who we are, you know, and what really lights us up, what brings out the best in us, and what are we here for? You know, what's our purpose? A lot of the time we can get hung up living other people's lives and thinking that's our purpose. But when you really know yourself, you understand why you're here and what you've got to do, which is a whole different feeling.
I suppose we have lots of spoken about now about heart-mind connection. So that brings us more into our feeling space.
Very, very much. And that's when you start feeling that you're getting close to understanding more about yourself. That's when you start wondering about your feelings and your emotions, because here's the good thing about our feelings and our emotions is they're like a warning, or not really a warning system, but a signal system to us. They tell us when we're not happy, when we're not aligned, when we're not living according to our purpose or understanding ourselves. They show up in our feelings. You know, if you're not happy, Linda, if you're not feeling fulfilled, if you're feeling overwhelmed, and all these things that plague us a lot through our lives, these are all our emotions telling us. They're saying, hey, you're not happy. You're not really aligned. You're not digging into who you really are. So take a look, learn to understand who we are, and then take some action to change. And really, when you understand who you are and what core values you hold in your heart and what you really want to achieve, it's sort of the alignment takes care of itself. You start really getting energized to do what it is that turns you on, you know, and it brings meaning to your life. You get out of bed with a sense of purpose, and that's adds meaning to your life. It's the best thing you can do. It's a real game changer.
So the feeling space is that what is it like working out the difference in the feelings? Does that make a difference?
Well, it's understanding. The best thing you can do is whenever you're feeling an emotion, especially if it's one that you wish wasn't there, for example, sadness or jealousy or anger, sometimes we wish them away. Oh, we don't want to experience them, but it's the opposite. Instead of wishing them away, it's like understanding what it is. So first you put a name to it. I'm feeling fear at the moment. Why? Welcome in, and you welcome that feeling. So you own it. You go, this is me sending myself a message. So you welcome the feeling in, and you try and understand it. In a moment of meditation or just with your eyes closed, you can ask that emotion, what are you trying to tell me? What are you here for? What's your message? And if you can just relax and allow it to be there, it's quite strange, but all of a sudden you start getting and understanding why it's there. And then you start seeing what it's trying to tell you. It's not trying to control your life, it's just giving you a message. When you listen, the feeling disappears and leaves you with an understanding. Now I understand why it's there, and all of a sudden you start understanding what I need to do so it doesn't keep reminding me that I'm doing something like that. And it starts helping you to take control of your life, to get that alignment I was talking about before. And alignment really is just when we understand what our values are and what our purpose in life is, it's getting an alignment between those two so that our values point us towards what we ultimately want to achieve. And that's all the alignment is. It just means you're going in one direction, all your energy supports you to get to where you want to go. And no longer are you shedding energy left, right and centre in areas that are not going to come back and support you, you know. So the alignment and knowing thyself and feeling your feelings, they're all very important, so important.
And so what would your best advice be for our viewers?
Yeah, look, I've got 3 tips for people who are wondering now after listening to what we've been talking about. And that would be, 3 questions you can ask yourself. What am I here for? What am I really here for on this planet? You know, we each bring something unique. And do you understand what it is about you that is different or special? What is it about you that the world hasn't seen yet? Or maybe even yourself that you haven't really expressed. You know there's more to you, but you don't know what it is. That's question 1. Question 2 would be, what are you most passionate about? Start writing them down. What is it that lights you up? It can be as simple as fun, it can be love, it can be connection, whatever. Just start writing down. Every time you notice something that you really love and you used to love when you were a child, start writing them down and understanding why they're there and include them back in your life. Quite often we put those things to one side. And the third one would be, figure out how to apply both these things in your life. Just be more consciously aware of them and ask myself at the end of every day, what am I proud of that I did today and what made me smile? And you go to sleep with that. So when you wake up in the morning, you've got an intention to set. It's like, I'm going to do more of that today. and they're the 3 things.
Thanks so much, Steve, for that.
Welcome, Linda.
And for more information on knowing yourself and Steve Hall, then please go to his webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And for now, we'll say goodbye until next week.